What's up, my fellow adult collectors, and welcome to Civilian Collectibles. With WrestleMania weekend now behind us, I wanted to do one more long-form video based on WWE before I change topics. Over the weekend, I did create some shorts videos listing my favorite wrestlers across various categories, but here, I want to do it in just one video. I'm not going to showcase quite as many here as I did on the shorts, but here, I'm going to give a brief overview as to why I like each one versus it just being scrolling pictures. If this is your first time on my channel, hi, my name is Seville, and here I'd like to discuss action figures and other collectibles based on my favorite movies, TV shows, and video games. If you find this video enjoyable or informative, please give me a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell. First, I'm going to go through those who are already in the Hall of Fame, with one exception that you'll see later on. Right out of the gate, one of the newest inductees to the Hall of Fame, Rey Mysterio. I've always found myself relating to him pretty well, because we're about the same size. On TV, they over-exaggerate his height as being 5'6", but then in the Hall of Fame speech, he even admitted that he's really only like 5'3", and I'm 5'2", so I do understand the struggle of being a short guy. Another performer who faced a lot of adversity, Chyna. She broke the mold of what it meant to be a woman in wrestling at the time, a pretty face or a valet, and instead got in there and threw down just as hard as most of the men. Chyna's primary advocate was Triple H. In my opinion, Triple H is one of the greatest minds to ever step foot in the business. One of the best storytellers, one of the best performers, just overall what you think of when you think of a wrestler. Down the line though, I do believe that Beth Phoenix did a really good job at picking up where Chyna left off. In my opinion, she retired a bit too early, but I do understand her personal reasons for doing so once she married Edge. Taking a step back, though, there's no denying that Macho Man Randy Savage was one of the great workhorses back in the 80s and 90s. He's easily my second favorite wrestler from my early childhood. Now for the one who's not quite in the Hall of Fame yet, Mickie James. I'm sure she will be in the Hall of Fame one day. She just hadn't quite retired yet, but she was one of the best of her era, and I've thoroughly enjoyed keeping up with her career. Back to my childhood, though, my original number one wrestling hero was indeed Hulk Hogan. Then, when he made the switch to Hollywood Hogan while I was a teenager, that just made me like him even more. Speaking of me being a teenager, when Trish Stratus first came on the scene, I didn't really see the appeal because she wasn't really a wrestler, and then when she tried wrestling, she wasn't really very good at it. But then over the years, once she got some training in and spent some actual time in matches, she did certainly earn her spot among my favorites. But when it comes to earning their spot, earning the respect, earning the accolades, no one deserves them more than The Undertaker. In my opinion, The Undertaker is the measuring stick for what a great WWE career should look like. However, when it comes to just purely my all-time personal favorites, on the women's side, I have Lita. When she first appeared, I remember being totally mesmerized by her unique looks, style, and athleticism. And on the men's side, my number one is Kane. Of course, I know that without The Undertaker, you wouldn't have Kane, but for me personally, Kane is just slightly above The Undertaker. In my opinion, the fact that the character of Kane was created mostly for a one-off adversary of The Undertaker, but then turned into a 25-year character after that, just goes to show you just how cool it was. With all that said though, now I'll move on to currently active superstars. Starting with Charlotte Flair. Now, I know a lot of people think she gets pushed too much, or gets shoved down our throats just because of her name, but in my opinion, that's not the case. She has the skill, she has the athleticism, she has the talent. It just so happens that her name is Flair as well. In my opinion, she's already outsurpassed her father. Speaking of outsurpassing fathers, next is Cody Rhodes. Don't get me wrong, Dusty Rhodes is absolutely one of the greatest minds in the business, but his son Cody has the mind and the athleticism to go along with it. Another great example of this is Randy Orton. As of this recording, he is actually out with injuries, but I do feel like that once he recovers from those, he's got one more good solid run in him, and then after that, he's most likely a surefire for the Hall of Fame in the future. Also coming up alongside Charlotte Flair, we had Bayley and Becky Lynch as part of the Four Horsewomen. Both of these women have shown immense talent and proven that they belong inside a WWE ring. Other current favorites are those like Finn Balor and Alexa Bliss, because both of them have shown the ability to play the happy-go-lucky face type character as well as the supernatural monster heel type characters. I also really enjoy Asuka's work, but I really do wish they'd finally give her a win at WrestleMania. She went from one of the longest winning streaks ever, to not having a single WrestleMania win at all. Then, who I probably think is the most gifted and athletic performer, definitely the workhorse of the current generation, Seth freaking Rollins. And then the final one on the women's side, Rhea Ripley. She has stood out to me ever since she debuted way back in the women's tournament, all the way through NXT, and of course now on the main roster. Which then brings me to my current overall favorite, the Tribal Chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. I've been a fan of Roman ever since the days of the Shield, even when he was being pushed as a face after that. That whole time when he was being booed by most of the audience, I didn't really understand why. I mean, I understood why, but I wasn't one of those people doing so. I thought he was great, and that's where he needed to be. Granted, I'll be the first to admit he does not need both belts, especially now that he's becoming more and more of a part-timer. I really thought that the belts would have been split back up as individual titles by now, but with all the news coming out this week about the Endeavor purchase, there's no telling how this is going to go. It doesn't take away from the fact that he's still one of the best performers out there. So what about you guys? What do y'all think of my list? Is there anyone y'all would add in? Is there anyone y'all would take out? Let me know in the comments below.